What's going on? RodeoBo here, and today we're going to talk about some simple, easy ways to turn an image into black and white using Photoshop. But why would you want to remove colors from an image and break it down into its most basic, primal, raw form? Simply put, color is just an accessory to your image. By stripping an image of its color, you're left with its two most basic forms. You've got your composition and your lighting. You have to ask yourself the question, is color a necessity to complete your image? Or does the composition and lighting stand on its own? So the first way is to just simply desaturate your image. This is the easiest way. It will get you there the fastest. We're going to jump into Photoshop now, and as you can see, I have this image here that I got from Envato Elements, which is an awesome place to find stock image clips, videos, sound, music, anything you're going to need to be a content creator in the modern age. I chose this image because of the colors present in the image in the definite areas of shadow and highlights. We'll be able to convert this, and this will look amazing in black and white. You'll see the high contrast, the pop that the black and white will add to this. Now, our first way is to just desaturate the image using the Desaturate shortcut, which is Control or Command Shift and U. And the image is now black and white. As simple as that. You can see you've got your shadows in here and you've got your highlights. Real easy, real quick. Now we're going to go back and we're going to go in and we're going to do a second method of this that gives you a little bit more controls over how your image is going to look. With the Hue Saturation way, you're going to go up to Image, you're going to go to Adjustments, and then you are going to go to Hue Saturation. This screen is going to come up, and you can real quick you can oversaturate an image if that's what you want to do, or you can undersaturate an image, and you can bring that down to 100. Now with this method, if we move this out of the way a little bit, you can go in and you can change the lightness of the image by bringing it more dark, or you can go the other way and create a more washed out white looking image. We're just going to add a little bit of dark so you can see the difference between these two. All right. This next way is a way to create dramatic black and white images. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into Photoshop. This method uses the alpha channel to turn your image into black and white. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Image. We're going to come down to Calculations. So now that our calculations has come up, you can see that the image has turned black and white. You can see your highlights, your shadows, and your composition really coming out. But what we're going to do now is we're going to play around with some stuff. And now this stuff is going to depend on your taste. When you go in, you're going to have your different blend modes. This one is set on multiply. You can go to normal, darken. There's a lot to learn with the blend modes, and there's a lot you can play around with. You can have a lot of fun with these, not even knowing what they do. We're going to have ours set at multiply. Now, another thing you can go in is you can play around with the channels, and you can, change it from your different channels of your gray, your green, your blue, or you can make it transparent. All right, so I'm going to go in with this, and I'm going to change this from red, and I'm going to bring that to the gray channel, and I'm going to bring this to the red channel. So I'm just going to switch those. After doing that, you might want to play around with your blending option a little bit more. Something else you can play around with is your opacity, depending on how much opacity you want it. I'm going to leave it at 100. You're going to want this to come off as a new channel, and just simply hit OK. Now we're going to go to our channels, and you can see down here that we have our alpha channel now. We're going to hit Control or Command A. Then we're going to hit Control C to copy. Then we're going to go back into our layers. We're going to create a new layer, and we are going to hit Control V to paste. And there you go. You got a pretty dramatic black and white photo. But you can take this even further if you go up to your adjustments, go to your curves layer, and here you'll get your histogram. The lower left-hand side is your darks, and it is going to slide all the way up into your whites or your highlights, your lightest colors. You've got your shadows, your midtones, and all of that in the middle. All right, so if you want to create a brighter image, you can come in here and you can use your slider and move your whites over to create a brighter image. You can completely bring it over and completely ruin it. You can also do the same with the blacks. you can bring this high and bring it over, and you can create a very, very dark image. You can create a very moody, dark image this way. All right, you can also come in and you can set points in the middle, and you can create an S curve to kind of create something that way. You can come in here and you can create a reverse S curve. All right, so that was a real quick way to turn an image into black and white using the alpha channel and the curves to convert your image into black and white and create a dramatic image. We're going to move on to the next one, which is how to use a gradient map to convert your image into black and white. All right, let's get back into Photoshop. The first thing you want to do when doing a gradient map is you want to make sure that these colors over here are set as black as your foreground and white as your background. Easiest way to do that is just to hit D for default. Just like that. If that doesn't work for you, let's bring this back up to another color. You can go and right here, you can hit, and this will reset your colors, this little icon right here. All right, so now we have our black and our white set as our foreground and background. And this is going to be important because your gradient map is going to use these two colors. So now we're going to come down here. Let's bring this back over now that we don't need it this way. We're going to come down to the lower right-hand corner, and we are going to use our Create New Fill or Adjustment layer, and we are going to choose Gradient Map. Awesome. Converted our image into black and white. As you can see the gradient map up top. A good question would be, why use a gradient map? Well, a gradient map is going to give you darker blacks and lighter whites. This is going to create more of a visual pop. All right, so once you get your gradient map going, you're going to come over to the lower right-hand side of your screen where your layers are, and you're going to want to make sure, I'm going to deselect it, and then I'm going to select it again. You're going to want to make sure that your layer mask, your gradient map, is highlighted. You're going to right-click twice on it. Your control panel will pop up. The secret magic behind the gradient map is this area here called smoothing, and this is going to create a smooth transition between your gradients. All right, and last but not least, this one's a little artistic. This one sometimes is my favorite, sometimes I absolutely hate it. I don't know if it's going to work with this image. Let's find out. It is known as the threshold. All right, so with the threshold, you're going to want to go back down to the Create New Layer or Adjustment layer. And you are going to go to threshold. Once you hit threshold, this will come up, and you can see you've got your histogram here with your darks and your lights. Now you have a little slider underneath, and you can play around with that, and you can bring in more light, or you can bring in more dark. And there you go. When you find something you like, that's it. Well, that was a ton of fun, y'all. And as always, have fun, stay positive, be fresh.